Hey there. I hope that you guys are all having a good evening tonight. I'm going to go ahead and turn on Instagram real quick so that we can be live in both places. Just for tonight, though, I have something really awesome to share, and I want as many people to hear it as possible, honestly. Hey there. I hope that you guys are having a good evening tonight. I am so excited that you're here. So I decided to include everybody. So just for tonight, this is a new weekly live video podcast that we're doing in the community. And so, like I said, I have something really cool that I want to share with you. I want to talk about perfectionism. And that's kind of why I showed up tonight. I'm usually really particular about showing up, making sure that my hair's done and I have all of my makeup done and everything looks the way that I feel like it should. But tonight, since it's Sunday, I'm just like, relaxed. These aren't really my pajamas. This is just what I wear when I'm at home. I don't usually look like this when I go out. But that's part of the whole perfectionism thing that I want to talk to you about. So I hope that you guys are having a good evening. And yeah, we're going to start by talking about the coronavirus. And if you're anything like me, I am sure that you guys have already heard enough about it and you don't want to hear about it, but just go with me here. Trust me, it's not what you think it is, right? So I went to the store the other day and I was looking for toilet paper. Not like a large amount of toilet paper, but just like a regular amount. I didn't know it was a thing. But Boston is kind of one of the hot spots, I guess, for the coronavirus in the United States. And apparently everybody has decided that they need to buy toilet paper. And it was really a scary thing going into the store and looking for it and seeing the aisles completely empty. And then seeing so many people there, and on Thursday night was the first time I was looking for it, and everybody was like angry because there are so many people in the store because they were all looking for, you know, toilet paper or bread or whatever it was, and most of it was gone. And it just kind of reminded me of Y2K because I'm that old. And it reminded me of the feeling actually of 9/11 in 2001. And it reminded me of when the stock market crashed in 2008. It just really feels like this really big, scary, awful thing, and it's hard to manage all of those feelings and to think about a time when we're going to be past it, right? But what I want to remind you and to make sure that you're thinking about is that we made it through all of those things, and I'm positive that we're going to make it through this too. And I want to make sure that you know I'm not trying to minimize the situation at all, because I know that that it can be very scary for a lot of people, that it is very scary. I just really want us to focus not on the panic, but to think about it a little bit different way. I don't want us to be afraid, for sure. I live with an anxiety disorder, and I have anxiety every single day of my life. And I've noticed that a lot of people who live with an anxiety disorder seem to be handling this whole situation a little bit differently, because we're used to talking ourselves down from being panicked. We do it every single day. We're used to feeling like the world's coming to an end. It's an everyday thing for us. Even when nothing is going on, we're used to that feeling. So I think that we just know how to handle it a little bit better, and we're a little bit more calm. I and yeah, so I want to help you as well as much as I can. And I want us to think about this in a little bit different way, honestly, or to bring up some stuff that maybe you haven't been thinking about as well. Um, I still have a full time job. I'm working from home this week. And I know that it seems like every time I turn on the news or any kind of social media, I hear about something else that the city of Boston is doing to try and stop the spread. Um, because I live in Boston, I'm more focused on that. Honestly, I'm trying to stay away from all of it because it is scary and it just feels like a lot. Um, but like I said, I want to talk about it in a little bit different way. So I hope that you'll stick with me here because I have some really cool things to talk about. I know that a lot of us are stuck at home with nothing to do, especially if you're in school or college, because a lot of the schools and colleges are closing down. If you're working from home like I am, you might find yourself with some free time. And a lot of us tend to spend that time worrying about the future. What's going to happen? And what do you do? Maybe it's maybe you've experienced this even before the whole virus thing came about. Maybe you struggle with depression like I do as well, and you just feel like you're in this general cycle of not knowing what to do with your life. And maybe you're scared to do anything. I have certainly been there. Um, I've definitely been there. I know what it feels like. And I think that's what a lot of people are going through right now. Not only panic, but also boredom, right? Because you can't do the things that you normally do. You're not really sure what's going to happen next. And you kind of have this general feeling of depression, like you don't know what's coming. And then there's also like a lack of information or some misinformation. So it's just this really crazy cycle where you just really don't know what to do. So you go, really between panic and boredom. Um, and then you start analyzing your life, right? And you start to spiral. And you're like, oh my God, I'm 35 and I haven't done anything with my life, right? What if this is the end? What if this is all that there is? And like I said, it's like a cycle and you don't know what to do. I was reading this book today, and I'm going to grab it so I can show it to you. It's called Don't Keep Your Day Job, that Kathy Heller wrote. Kathy Heller is a podcaster. She has a podcast that has the same name. It's called Don't Keep Your Day Job. It's like one of the best podcasts ever. So if you don't have anything to do and you're looking for something to do, check out her podcast. It has like 10 million downloads or something. Even if you're not looking to start your own business or start a side hustle or anything, you should definitely check it out. She interviews some amazing people who have great advice. And yes, you should definitely buy it for sure. Yep, definitely go check out her book. There's a link for it on my Instagram. You can find the link in the bio of the quote that I post. I took a bunch of pictures. I literally was reading this book. And I'm like underlining everything because I'm like, oh, that sounds great. Oh, that's completely awesome. Oh, I want to share that with everybody. I mean, like everything. I'm like, let me just underline the whole book because it's that completely awesome. But she has something that she says a lot. And what she says is the opposite of depression is not happiness, it's purpose. And I absolutely love that. It strikes such a huge chord with me, honestly. We spend so much time worrying about why we're not happy and what we need to do to be happy and what happiness actually even is, that sometimes we forget what it feels like to actually be happy, right? And then, when we're dealing with something big like what's going on right now, it's like, what if I die? What if I only have 3 months or a year or 5 years, you know, what, because it's not just like the coronavirus that's gonna get you, like, you could get into a car accident tomorrow, you could come down with cancer. I mean, there's like a million different ways that you can die, right? And I always ask myself in these situations, did I live the life that I wanted to live? Or did I live the life that I thought that I should? And these are some really, really sobering questions, right? So that's why I want to take some time this evening and use this situation as a little bit of self reflection. So if your time is almost up, have you lived a life that you're proud of? Because, you know, even if it's not almost up, at some point you are gonna die. I'm gonna be 35 this year, and I'm, like, shocked and surprised that I'm gonna be 35 because it's like, where did the last 35 years go, right? So I ask myself this question a lot. Have I lived a life that I'm proud of? Am I happy? Am I leaving behind a legacy that I'm proud of? Am I teaching, well, I don't have any kids, but if you have kids, you can ask yourself, you know, am I teaching my kids that happiness is important? I have a niece and I'm asking, you know, the same questions. Like, am I teaching her that it's important for her to be happy? Because it really is. It's incredibly important. We spend so much time thinking about what we have to do, right? But I want to ask you another question. What do you want to do? What makes you happy? Let's think about that for a minute. Tell me in the comments what makes you happy. What would you do if you could do anything that you want to do? And I don't mean like from a job perspective. I mean like anything that you do every single day that makes you happy. Did I live the life I thought others wanted me to live? That, yeah, I think a lot of us find ourselves living that life. Kay, thank you so much. There are filters. That's why I don't like 35. Reading, I love reading. I was reading while I was doing my laundry this afternoon. Um I don't have a washer and dryer in my apartment, so I have to go to a laundromat. And I thought it was incredibly awful in the beginning, but then I'm like, hey, I have like a whole hour, an hour and a half to do something else, and I can read. Taking pictures, spending time with family and friends, making memories, reading fan fictions. I love writing fan fictions. Reading them is fun too. Acting, all completely awesome, wonderful, amazing things. Um, Drawing and painting, awesome. Let me see if there's anything over here. No. Okay. So what makes me happy? Let's see what else. Going to see musicals and concerts. I love going to concerts. Making art. Um, Spending time with loved ones, enjoying the little things. Love cleaning on my own time. I actually like cleaning too. I like organizing and setting things up. Um, a lot of my stuff right now is in boxes and it's just kind of a mess. And I'm dying to buy some shelves and to get everything organized and looking nice. Um, so when I think about what makes me happy, cooking, awesome. I don't really like cooking. I like baking. If it has chocolate and butter in it, then I love it. Um, I look tired because I don't have makeup on. That's why I look tired. Um, so when I think about what makes me happy, it's things like chocolate, coffee. I like to drink mocha lattes. My iPhone makes me happy, and all of the apps that I have on it that I can connect with people. Um, my iMac computer that I got to bring home from work makes me happy. It's really nice, and I definitely need one at home. I'm not gonna wanna take it back to work. That's for sure. Um, Something else that makes me really happy is sitting here talking to you guys, connecting with other people, talking about the meaning of life, talking about what makes us happy. I absolutely love that. I love doing something that's really, really terrifying and scary, but also really exciting as well. I had coffee with one of my friends yesterday who's an INFJ. We went to Harvard Square, which is in Cambridge. It's just north of Boston. If you've never been there, you absolutely have to go. It was the first time that I'd been there, and um, we were walking through the square, and it's just so gorgeous, honestly. And um, I asked her, I'm like, "Are there usually a lot of people here?" Because there wasn't hardly anybody, and she goes, "Yeah, there's a ton of people." And I just kind of took a moment to be thankful for the fact that we could be there, um, and not be surrounded by a ton of people. But we went to this amazing little cafe and we had coffee. It looked like a place from New York City or even from Paris, honestly. I almost took a picture of the desserts that they had and all the pastries and stuff. It was amazing, honestly. And the coffee was pretty good too. Um, but we sat there talking for like 3 hours and didn't even notice the 3 hours had gone by. And we were talking about like the meaning of life and our life's purpose and business and different parts of our lives. And it was just so completely amazing, honestly. It's one of the most awesome things to connect with other INFJs in person where you don't have to explain yourself. You just you just get it, you know? And excuse me, she told me this story about how she felt the most alive in her life when she was doing something that was really, really scary and really challenging, but also really exciting at the same time. And I was just dying for her to finish the story so that I could say, "Me too. I've done the same thing. I've done the same thing several times. I love things that are like really, really scary, but also really, really exciting and super challenging because I love the feeling of accomplishment and I like the change too." I know that sounds really weird because as INFJs, we love routine, and I'm all about routine. In my everyday life, I drive the same way to work every single day. I stop to have coffee at the same place. I used to eat at the same restaurant every day until I decided that I needed to be a little bit healthier, so I'm not eating there. But I like going to the same grocery store. I like doing the same thing when I get home. But I feel like it comes from the whole all or nothing thing. Um, if 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 I'm interested in change, then I want everything to change and all of it to change all right now, and I want it to be really big and scary and a whole thing. But if oh, did it come back? I'm sorry, I got a phone call. Um, so yeah, if there's change, I want it to be really big and scary. Um, but if there's no change, then I want it to be everyday, ordinary routine. So I started thinking about some of the big things that I've done in my life, some of the like the big changes that I made. I went to England when I was 22. I was volunteering for a nonprofit. And let's be honest, there was actually a guy there and he had an English accent and he was, I thought it was going to be a thing and it turned out to not be a thing, which actually turned out to be a good thing later. But um, I I left the country all by myself when I was 22, and everybody told me that was completely crazy, and I was like, "I don't care, I'm doing it." Um, and then I ended up moving from the Midwest, from Kansas to North Carolina when I was 24, all by myself, 1,000 miles away from home. And then almost 10 years later, I moved to Boston, and it was even scarier because I didn't have a car, so I basically bought a plane ticket and I took like 2 bags full of my stuff and left everything else. And I'm just like, "All right, I'm gone. I'm done." Um, and then last year, starting my own business is like the same terror and excitement. Um, it's the same thing. So I wanted to ask you guys too, do you do the same thing? Do you see this in your life? It's it is incredibly exciting. A lot of times I feel like a lot of times we have to jump in like head first when we want to do something new. It's like, all or nothing, all in or all out. um so what would you do if you could do anything? I know, like we spoke about before, a lot of us get stuck in this whole, you know, we do what we think that we have to do or what we think that we should do. But I really want to encourage you to think about doing what you love instead of what you should do, to do something that makes you happy, and to really use this time right now with all the scary things that are happening in the world to kind of use it as a wake up call and to remember that your time is limited on earth. Whether it's a few weeks or a few months, or whether you have 50 years left, you still only have a finite amount of time, and it's time to do something about it now. If you find yourself in a job where you're miserable, where you hate Sunday night because you start having that feeling of, oh my god, I have to go to work tomorrow and I don't want to go to work tomorrow and it's terrible and awful and horrible, and the next time I I just don't even want to go. I don't want Monday to be here because I don't want to be in the office with those people anymore. I've had so many jobs that have been like that. And I just honestly, I feel like life is way too short to be stuck in something that you actually hate. I know that a lot of us have that feeling, and then we decide, okay, I'm going to do something, and then you get stuck in planning mode. And planning mode is like what I call analysis paralysis, because you think that if you make the best plan and the right plan, that you won't mess anything up. It goes back to the whole perfectionism thing, right? Like if you can plan it well enough, you'll only have to do it once, and you won't make any mistakes, and it'll be perfect from the start, right? So I was talking to my niece just this past week. She's 16. She is in high school. She has 2 more years of high school, and then she's talking about going to college. And it was a painful conversation. I love my niece, don't get me wrong, I do. It was painful because she has no idea what she wants to do, and she thinks that she needs to have it all figured out, like, right now, and it's the end of the world that she doesn't have it figured out right now. But then it was also painful for me because it was, like, this massive flashback of me at her age, trying to figure everything out and making sure that I did everything right the first time. And I put so much stress on myself trying to figure everything out and not wanting to make a mistake, that instead of spending 4 years in college like most people do, I spent 10 years in college because I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And so I ended up doing 3 different things, and I ended up with almost 3 different college degrees, and I haven't used any one of them. And I learned a whole lot about college, but I didn't learn a whole lot about life. And I didn't learn a whole lot about what I actually wanted to do. And it's taken me all of these years to realize, hey, I didn't really learn a lot about myself either. Um, and here I am at 35 going, okay, maybe we need to start over and try again. right? But there's nothing wrong with being 35 and starting over, okay? It happens. It happens to a lot of us, actually. I want to tell you something that I've learned, though. And this is the exact same thing that I told my niece, too. You can't make a mistake. You can't mess up your life. It doesn't happen. I was always so concerned that I was going to make a mistake, that I was going to mess up my whole life. You can't mess it up. It just doesn't happen. What's meant for you will find you no matter what decisions you make. No matter what you decide to major in college, you'll figure it out. You can't choose the wrong thing because, that's not how it works. And my advice to my niece was that I told her, study philosophy or ancient history because there's no easy way to make a career out of that. You can definitely make a career out of it. You can do something that uses those. But I was like, use college to figure out who you are. You know, you make a list of all of the things that you want to do and do that. Look at the classes that the college offers and pick one that is like, oh, that sounds like fun. I want to study photography and I want to learn about graphic design and I think video editing might be fun. Maybe I'll make a documentary. Let's try that for a while and see if you like it. And if you don't like it, do something else. Don't be afraid to change your mind or to change directions because that's part of life. And if you're out of college already like me, you can still do that, right? You can look for classes. There are plenty of people who offer classes in things like cooking or drawing or painting. There's so many people online now who offer online classes, master classes that are free about business or podcasting or making videos or whatever it is that sounds like fun. And I also want to encourage you not to worry about making a career, especially if you're in college. I know that sounds because you don't have to. You can do more than one thing for the rest of your life. More than one thing. I I got this concept from one of my friends who is a wonderful business coach. Her name is June Morrow. She's going to be on the podcast tomorrow. My podcast, The Quiet Ones. So make sure that you listen. When she said this, it completely blew me away, honestly. And the more that I think about it, the more that I completely love it. And I might just steal it from her, honestly, because it's so awesome and it's so completely true. I was so stuck on picking the one right thing that I completely got lost, not only in college, but in my life too. Um, and I really, really honestly feel like college shouldn't be about picking this one career because I was so convinced that I had to pick one career that I could make enough money from that I could pay off my student loans when I got out of school. That's all that it was for me. It was like, okay, let me pick the right things so that I have enough money to pay for everything that I'm spending now. And like I said, I spent 10 years in college, so it's a large number, honestly. But I really think college shouldn't be about just picking one career. It should be more about figuring out who you are as a person and what you want to contribute to the world. What do you like to do? What talents do you have to offer? How can you make people's lives better? And what makes you happy? These are the questions that we should be asking. These are the questions I was asking my niece. And even if you're 35 like I am, or 55 or 75, and you're not in college anymore, you should still be asking them because it's never too late. It is never too late. So going back to the podcast interview that I did with June, she says that you can actually plan to change directions in your life. I mean, that was a whole new concept for me too. Cause I'm like, No, I have to find this one thing. Like, my life's purpose is one thing, and I have to figure out what it is. And she's like, "No, you can make a whole list of stuff you wanna do and do one thing for 3 years and then do something else." And I'm like, "Really? Like, that's a thing?" And then the more I think about it, I'm like, "Well, who says that you can't? Your parents?" But when you're 35, I mean, I still love and definitely respect my parents, but I don't always listen to their advice. Um, yeah. So you can be a writer for 3 years, right? And then you can say, "Okay, that was fun, but now I'm gonna do a podcast, and I'm gonna be a podcaster for 3 years." And then you can be like, "You know what? That was cool, but now I'm gonna go to Italy and learn how to cook." Well, maybe, after the whole thing is over, you can go to Italy and learn how to cook because you like pasta and you like pizza, and Italy is absolutely beautiful and you've always wanted to go. But then, you eat so much food when you're learning how to cook and you're in Italy and it's pasta and pizza, right? So after those 3 years, you're like, "You know what? I'm gonna be a personal trainer for 5 years this time because I kinda need to lose some weight." And it was a lot of food and it was really good food, but, change directions, do something else. It's totally cool. You can completely do that. Do you feel a weight lifting off of your shoulders? Or is it just me? Because it was like one of those life-changing epiphanies for me, honestly, which is why I wanted to share it with you ahead of time because I have this whole list of things that I want to do. And I thought that I had to look at this list and only pick one of those things. I thought I had to pick this one thing that was like this perfect thing. The one thing that I made enough money doing and it felt reasonable and it felt responsible, and this job had to be, a stable job that offered insurance and a 401k because when you're going to be an adult, you need to worry about those things, right? But then I had this epiphany and I'm like, "You know what? It's totally cool and fine and acceptable for you to do more than one thing with your life. You don't have to pick between being responsible and doing what you love. You can have insurance and a 401k and do what you love at the same time. You shouldn't have to be miserable for your every single day of your life." And I want to right now, I want to give you permission to change your mind and to change directions and to do the thing that you want to do the thing that you love. I'm doing it too. I have all these ideas and like I said, I had this list and I was like, "Okay, I'm going to pick this one thing and I'm only going to do the one thing." But then I was like, "You know what? I have some other things I want to do too." And for me, I'm not just like changing directions completely. I'm kind of adding to it because I don't already have enough to do. But at this point in my life, I don't have a husband or any kids or anything. So um, I have time. So I'm like, "Okay, let's explore some other things. Let's explore all the things that I want to do because it sounds like fun." Um, so then you get to the next step. And the next step is like, "Okay, I'm excited. I want to do what I love. I want to do that. I don't know what's going to happen." Right? So let's talk about that step for a minute. You found the thing that makes you happy. For me, it's writing, it's social media, it's connecting with people who understand me like you. It's I can't talk now. Okay. It's inspiring people, it's graphic design, and it's learning about automated email marketing. I love doing that kind of stuff. Honestly, I've been doing it for so long and I still love it because The programs that do the automation are getting more sophisticated and they're getting cheaper, so they're more available to more people, and it's fun. I love doing it. So now you have this thing that makes you happy, whatever your thing is, but you don't know all the things. You don't know how to make money from it or what your life will look like in 10 years. And again, you start to spiral and panic because you don't have all the answers. And maybe you panic over something that's kind of simple. Like, you're trying to do this new thing and you want to set up an Instagram account for it and you don't know what to name the account. It sounds like kind of a simple thing. But then you're like, "No, it has to be like this really important type of thing and I want it to be right and I want it to be perfect." And do you see the pattern? The spiral? The perfectionism thing, it shows up in so many different places. It shows up in these big decisions in our lives and even in the small decisions, like what's the name of my business going to be? What's the name of my Instagram account going to be? What's the name of my Facebook group going to be? But I want you to remember, you don't have to know every single thing at once. You don't have to figure it all out today. You can pick a name for your Instagram account and then you can realize a week from now or 3 years from now that it's not the right name. And you know what? You can change it. You can change the name of your Instagram account. You can change the name of your website too. You can buy a new domain name. They're really not that expensive. It doesn't have to be a permanent thing. You can shift and change and do something completely different. And the answers to all of these questions, they will come to you. The way that they come to you is that you just have to take action. You have to do something. Even if it feels like the wrong thing, even if you don't know what it is to do, you just have to start. You have to do something. I feel like we have this idea that when we're an adult, we'll have all of the answers. I don't know where it came from, probably somewhere in our childhood. But I started asking myself why. Why don't I feel like an adult? I don't feel that responsible, even though I am. I wrote a whole blog post about not feeling like I'm an adult because I had this discussion with my mom the other night too. I'm like, at what point, like, what age do you get to where you feel really adulty? And she was like, I don't know, I haven't gotten there yet. So that didn't really give me much hope. Um, but like I said, I don't feel that responsible, even though I actually am. Like, I go to work every single day, I pay my bills, I make myself dinner every night. These are all responsible adulty things, right? I don't have my own house, but I do rent an apartment and I pay my rent. I'm not married and I don't have kids, but not every adult does, right? So why don't I feel like an adult? And I go back to what I said at the beginning, like, I don't have all the answers. And I don't know where I got this idea from that adults have all of the answers, but I feel like it's something that we learned when we were kids and we were like, oh, if you have a question, you go to an adult and they have an answer, right? So when you get to be an adult, you must have all the answers, right? You have to have everything figured out. And maybe that's why I don't feel very adulty because I don't have everything figured out. But like my mom said, she's more than 20 years older than me and she still doesn't have everything figured out. So maybe that's not what makes you an adult. Maybe there's always going to be something that you don't know and you're never going to have everything figured out and you just have to keep moving forward anyway. Like I said, the clarity comes from action. It comes from doing something. And sometimes it comes from doing something and saying, hey, this isn't what I want to do. Let me do something else. Let me try something else. And sometimes it comes from, I like part of this, but not all of it. So let me, branch off and go a different direction. But you have to do something. One of my favorite things to say that I got from Kathy Heller, from Ruth Soukup. Do it scared. Do it messy. I know that we get stuck in perfectionism, and it's difficult to just put yourself out there to do something when it's not the way that you think that it should be, when it doesn't look exactly how you want it to look. But you're never going to be able to do it. Um, you're never going to be able to do something really well if you don't do it messy in the beginning, right? The first time that you do something, it isn't going to be perfect. You have to start with it being messy and imperfect, and for you to be scared to put it out there because the first one is going to be messy and awful and really difficult, and the next one is going to be a little bit better, and the next one is going to be a little bit better, and the 100th one might actually be something that you're really, really proud of and excited about. um, and this goes for whatever it is, whether you're blogging or podcasting or learning graphic design, whether you're doing videos. It goes for whatever career choice that you have, whatever that you want to do in your life. you know it applies to so many different things, honestly. So I really, really, really want to encourage you to use this time that we have, this uncertain time where you might even actually have some extra time, um, to really think about what makes you happy in your life and to think about what you want to do. And I hope that you'll make some changes, that you'll use this time as a motivation to say, okay, this is what I want to do. And I'm going to figure out how to do it rather than being miserable every single day, rather than doing the things that I thought that I should do because somebody told me that I had to do them. Um, I told you that I was changing directions. Um, and like I said, I'm not really changing as much as just adding something new. My INFJ Woman blog, social media is all going to stay the same. The community, my podcast, The Quiet Ones, is staying the same. I'm adding a new weekly podcast, which is what you're seeing right now. If you're on Instagram, it's not usually going to be on Instagram. It's going to be in the INFJ community. And you'll see it every single week. I will be on there. A lot of people that you've seen on my podcast, The Quiet Ones, will be on there. The difference between it is that it's a live video, and you'll have the chance to interact, to ask questions, to be a part of the conversation. A lot of the people that I'm interviewing are life coaches, business coaches, career coaches. There's one of them that's a self-love coach. I don't know, did I say relationship coaches? There's a few of those as well. So a lot of amazing, wonderful people, most of whom are INFJs. So they've been there, they can answer your questions. A lot of my questions come from my experience. And I know I tend to forget that a lot of people are married and have kids. And so your experience is different. And I'm not trying to forget about you, to leave you out. Sometimes I just have so much going on that when I'm writing down the questions, I'm like, okay, what would I do? Like, what kind of questions do I have? So I want to provide this resource for you guys so that you can jump up and ask the questions and say, hey, what about when you have kids? Hey, what about when you get into something with your husband? Like if it's a relationship coach, you can ask, all kinds of questions about that don't ever occur to me because I don't have that situation in my life, right? So yes, come and join the community. You can be a part of the conversation. The community is a membership community, so there is a fee to join it. However, if you pre-order my book, which will be out next month, it is called the INFJ User Guide. You get one of the bonuses for pre-ordering the book is 3 months free in the community. And there's a whole bunch of other bonuses as well. There are 3 different masterclasses. One's about finding your purpose, one's about starting a podcast, and one is about how to turn your blog into a business. So I'm going to post the link. You can find if you're on Instagram, you can find the link um, for the book in my bio. You'll see the book. It's the cover of it right now is green. Um, so that's the community. Make sure that you go over there and check it out. You get a week for free, even if you don't buy the books, to just check it out and see what it is. Um, Going back to what I was saying before, I told you that I was shifting directions a little bit, and it's more just like adding something new, honestly. I've been asked to be a guest on several different podcasts and in several different groups for different videos and things. And everybody keeps asking me about marketing. They keep asking me, how do you get to 49,000 followers on Instagram? Um, how do you get people to read your blog? How do you get over 30,000 downloads on your podcast? And that's what they want to talk about. And that's fine because I love talking about those kinds of things. And I love helping people grow their businesses. And it seems like I find a lot of people who are interested in business too. So basically, I just set up a new blog that's about business and marketing, and it's for anybody who's interested in starting a blog or a podcast or any kind of business, really, where you would need a website and social media and email marketing. And yeah, so you can find it at sarahkuhn.co. So it's SARAHKUHN.co, and I'll post a link for it. I'm sure you'll see it everywhere. If you're interested in business at all, please go check it out. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at INFJ Woman and send me a direct message, and I would be more than happy to answer any of your questions about marketing or business. One more thing, going back to the community that I wanted to tell you guys about. I'm thinking about starting a book club group. Let me know what you guys think about that. Several people recently have told me that I need to read a book called The Artist's Way, which I was just looking at it on Amazon, and it's pretty old book, which, and is neither here nor there. I haven't heard about it until recently, and but a lot of people have told me that I need to read it. So I'm like, well, maybe we can all read it together and then have this group in the community where we can read a chapter a week or something and then get together and discuss it. And whether it's, how we get together is completely up to you guys, whether you want to do like group text messaging, or you want to do a live video like this, or if you want to do like live video chat with all of us, all of those are options that we can definitely do. One more thing, going back to my new blog, I have a Facebook group for that blog that, if you're interested in starting a business or marketing, I'll post a link for it as well, so that you can see it. And the social media, there's Instagram and Facebook for that. It's by Sarah Kuhn. So BY SARAHKUHN. And like I said, that's Instagram and Facebook. And then you can see the group on the Facebook page for that, for my business blog. So yes, I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out tonight. I really appreciate it. I hope that you'll come over and check out the INFJ community, and that you'll be a part of the live podcast every single week, and the book club and everything else that we have going on over there. There's going to be a lot of events. A lot of them are to be determined because, right now we're not really certain. It's not really a good time to be talking about getting together in person. But I wanted to talk about those as well, though, to give us something to look forward to say, hey, there is something beyond all of what's going on right now, right? We're going to get through this. We're going to make it. It's going to be okay. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a good Sunday, and I will see you again next week.